Sure, Coley.
So we're turning which Pasha Ki Seitzei, turning to chapter Kof Page, it's at the beginning of the it's actually Kof Out, to the end of Kof Out. Chapter for Father Pasuk Yud Ki yeh leish ben soirer u'moireh. Aish, which in Pashtus means a yid.
Where is it?
If he will have a ben soirer u'moreh.
Where?
I don't understand what you're talking about. Yud Ches. Ben soirer u'moreh, a son who is turns away from the right derech and instruction, and moreh, he's defiant, he acts defiantly. Einenu shomea b'kol aviv u'kol imay, he doesn't listen at the Siddim tape. No peanut colours. Einenu shomea b'kol aviv u'kol imay, he doesn't listen to the voice of his father and his mother. By Yisrael say, and they punish him, or they reprimand him severely. V'lo yishma aleihem, he doesn't pay any attention, doesn't listen. V'sof suvoi aviv v'imay, and his mother and his father have to grasp him. V'hoitziu oisei el ziknei iroi el sham femoi, they have to take him out to the elders of the city and to the gate of their place where they live. And they have to say to the elders of that city, the name who says, he turns away from all he's been taught and he's defiant. He doesn't listen to what we say, and he is gluttonous and he makes how to use the expression, he acts in a drunken and gluttonous way. Showing that's what they say to the Zakein. And all of the people in that city have to stone him with stone until he dies. And you must drive out the evil from your midst. All the rest of the Jewish people are able to listen and hear what has occurred. They will fear. They will fear, and that fear, hopefully that will prevent the repetition of any such thing. So here we see a quite amazing thing that the Torah tells us that somebody who just doesn't listen to his mother and father, he doesn't seem to have done anything. I mean, he was defiant to his parents. I mean, what did he do that he would be obliged to be put to death by the Beis Din? And we see that he's not only put to death by the Beis Din stam, but he's killed what they call skila, stoning. And skila is the Gemara gives in the Second Sanhedrin, and skila is the most serious of all the punishments of the Beis Din, because it's the misa haki chamura. It's the strictest or most terrible way that the Beis Din can put somebody to death. So we see that all of a sudden, because this boy acted in a way that he was defiant of his parents, and then we see that he was zolel v'sovei, he was gluttonous and drunken. But we still, the pasuk doesn't seem to tell us of anything really, openly terrible that he did. And then we see all of a sudden he gets skila. Skila is the most terrible of all the punishment. So the attentive reader immediately stands in some amazement when he reads this particular portion. Now we have to take into account that there's a cloud that the Gemara brings down in several places that usually when we're explaining the verses of the Torah, we don't dash in what's called smuchim. We don't go from one parsha why it was similar to why it was placed alongside the other. We just learn each parsha there. We don't necessarily find reasons why these two parshas came out together. And only rarely in the other four books does Rashi do it. But the Gemara says that in the volume in Mishnah Torah, we can do that. We're allowed to, since the Mishnah Torah was arranged by Moshe Rabbeinu principally, then we have to assume that Moshe Rabbeinu did things in such a way that we are able to have some understanding, at least in a very distant way, of what he meant by arranging the parts. Ashkin and the other books, the Chumash, they were given directly at Sinai by the Eibishter. Although we don't suggest or in any way assume that we know why the different parshas were put one alongside the other, what's their representation being this one alongside that one. However, in Mishnah Torah, in Devarim, we do have the right to do that. And we notice that in this Sefer Devarim, Rashi does it on many occasions. Rashi says, why are these parshas, these alongside these? Because they come to tell us this and this interrelationship of the different parts. So if you look carefully here, as no doubt you do when you learn the Chittas, you will learn the Rashi on these portions, then Rashi says that there's like a connection with all the three things that have been mentioned here in this first section of this week's parsha. And then he goes on to say there's also a connection with the next parsha that comes along. And then he goes a little bit further and he makes another connection. And all these dinim which are brought down at the beginning of this particular parsha all are explained by Rashi as having some interrelationship one with the other. The first din brought down in the parsha is what's called the din of Eisha Shifas Toya, the woman of beautiful appearance. And the halacha is told that if Jewish soldiers go out to war and a soldier sees a beautiful woman amongst the enemy and he wants to take her as a captive and take her as his wife, and he's allowed to do so if he does certain processes which are required first. And the Torah describes them in detail, without going into all the dinim of the age past Toya. And then after that, it's written that if a man has two wives, one of who is he likes and appreciates, and the other one he hates. That's the din of, and then it's written that the firstborn is born to the one he hates. What's the din then? He has to treat the firstborn always in a better way. And then we move on to this one here, the din of the ben soirer umoreh. So Rashi says, why is this? What's this got to do with the other two parshas? Rashi says that if a man goes according to his yetzer hara in the war, and he takes a woman who is basically a kosher woman, and because of his yetzer hara, he tries to force her into a Jewish mold, then that basically doesn't really bring anything good. So then she becomes a hated wife. There's a wife that was his original wife, that's what he really appreciates. And then there's a wife that he's now got because he had this yetzer hara desire for her. Therefore, he's made her into a giyuris of all this that he has to do. But he hates her because that says Rashi, that's what's going to happen to him. He'll eventually hate her because his whole basis of the whole thing was really on the yetzer hara. The yetzer hara. And then what's eventually going to happen is that he'll have a son from her who'll turn into a son, a ben soirer umoreh, and he'll end up having to punish him in the way which is brought here when he gets to the ben soirer umoreh. And then that's the din of skila. And then immediately in the next parasha, it tells about if a person is put to death, then you have to hang his body up for a short time and then take it down. So as she said, that's talking about those who get skila. That's the skila, and that's the connection. Because the ben soirer umoreh, he got skila, then we tell further on what was the din of those who were killed that day skila. So we see that all these parshas all linked together, which means that as far as Rashi is concerned, the din of this ben soirer umoreh is a result of a person having been a victim of his yetzer, a victim of having given into his yetzer hara, b'shas ha-milchama, when he went out to fight. And Rashi says that it's a permitted war, it's not a milchemas mitzvah. We're talking about a war that didn't went out to conquer a country outside of Eretz Yisrael. That's where, he met up with this Eisha Shefas Toyar, and that led to him hating her, and then eventually he has from her a ben soirer umoreh. So that gives us some hint to how all this is coming about here, that there's like a connection and a hemshire on the ben soirer umoreh. And we're going to have time because I have to leave early this evening due to the fact that I have another simcha. I just came from a football one of our talmidim. I have another simcha by one of our talmidim that I got to get to. And I'm very happy to go to the simcha of the talmidim. It's very important that I do that. So we're going to have to say Bekitzer, but we find a very remarkable and unbelievable thing that occurred with David HaMelech. It's written that David HaMelech took one of his wives. David HaMelech had several wives. One of his wives was an Eisha Shefas Toyar. And he took her as a captive in the war, and on that basis, she became his bride. What does he want? On that basis, she became his wife, and he had from her a son who he called Avshalom. And I don't know if you're familiar, but later on, Avshalom made war against his father and wanted to kill him. There was this terrible war between David HaMelech and Avshalom. And in the end, David HaMelech didn't do it, but Avshalom passed away very tragically, unpleasantly, almost to the knowledge of the eyes of his father. So the Sifriya, another great Medrashim, they connect the union of Avshalom with the din of ben soirer umoreh. They said he was a din of ben soirer umoreh because David HaMelech took Reishi Shaphat Toya, and he had from it his son. And that's why all these terrible things happened with Avshalom, etc., etc. And there's a whole diuk in the Lashon of the Sifri, where that's a great medrash Pasha on Sefer Bamidbar and Dvarim, but the medrash called the Sifri says that if somebody has a ben from Reishi Shaphat Toya, and he becomes not well-behaved son, eventually will be a Seder or Moira, and eventually he will have to bring him to death. So some people learn that it's the other way around. The Ben Seder or Moira will try to bring his father to death, because that's what happened by Avshalom. So there's a whole series of different Yudim. It's a very mind-boggling concept. This idea of the Ben Seder or Moira, which seems to come from something like good Malachat Shila. So it comes along Rashi. Rashi says, when they get to the Ben Seder or Moira, Rashi teaches what the word Seder means. Sormen Aderek, he turns away from the way, and Moira means that he refuses to listen. He's disobedient and defiant. And then Rashi said, Yisrael say that at the beginning he's given Malchus, he's given 39 stripes. And then Rashi makes a whole comment, a whole policy comment about this Ben Seder Moira, which is very important for our purpose. So Rashi says, it's after the word Vayisrael say, one full sentence. And then Rashi says, Ben Seder Moira Ein Chayev Ad Sheitnoi Vayechol Tarmita or Tartima, Boso. Ishte Chatzilug Yain. First of all, he's got to steal from his father. Rashi doesn't go into that, but the Gemara tells us that he has to steal his father's money and buy himself a piece of meat. It's not expensive, it's a big piece. It's what's called a chachi mano. I don't know how much that is in grain. I want to tip it off. It's not a big portion of meat. And he has chachi lug. He has to drink a chachi lug yain. And he has to drink it with his chaverim, not good people. Because if he drinks it at a sort of mitzvah, for example, or he drinks it amongst people who are doing a good thing, then he's not chayav. It's all sorts of amazing details which fit into this whole picture. Anyway, what happens is that he's going to have Eidim and see him steal from his father and drink this wine and eat this meat. And then the Eidim have to warn him, and they have to give their Eidus afterwards in the Beis Din. And Rashi says that they have to say it in front of 3 Dayanim. Well, it's a whole big question. We're not going into that for the moment. And then the Beis Din says, okay, we have to give him Malchus. We have to give him stripes, 39 stripes. I mean, he stole from his father. So maybe on that basis he'd get Malchus. He's only just turned 13, according to Gemara. It's just a couple of days after he's turned 13. Because if he's 13 and a few months, then he can't become a Ben Seder Moira. He's got to be between 13 and another small number of months after he's turned 13. If it's any more than that or any less, then he can't be put to death. It just keeps getting very, very specific and pinned down. This whole halacha as we go along. And then they give him Malchus, and then he has to go back and steal again the same amount of water and wine. If he does it again, then he's put to death. So if there are witnesses. So Rashi says, what is that? So Rashi says, Chatzilug Yain, Shenema Zolel V'Sover. He's got to be a glutton and a boozer, a drinker. So the minimum to be a glutton is to eat this kotzi mono basar in a not particularly good company, and to polish off with great pomp a chatzi lug. Not all that very much. It's not really all that that much more than what we're doing. We're doing a Raviyah Zahin. A Raviyah Zahin to Hatzilut, not all that far. It's not a tremendous amount of wine. So he's done that, and then he's done it again. So then says Rashi, but Rashi doesn't mention all that. It was if he knew about that. Uben Tzeirer Umeira Ne'arag Al Shem Seifer. Rashi said that this boy, he's only a boy, he's only between 13 years old and a few months after 13. Well, this boy is killed because of what's going to be at the end with him. He's not killed for what he's doing now, he's killed for what's going to be with him at the end. The Torah reaches the end of his attention, the end of his mind. Seif, the end of it all is going to be Shemachala Momin Oviv. He will steal away all of his father's money. He'll just keep taking from his father's money. Once he's finished all his father's money, he's going to say, I still need money. Mavakish Limuda is going to look for what he's accustomed to. And what will he do? He doesn't find it anymore. So the best thing to do is to go and stand in the crossing of the ways, become what do they say in America? Like Jesse James, become in Australia, a bushranger. In other words, he stands in the way and he renegates innocent people who are going past. Because he needs the money, his father's money is finished. So the Torah says, Yomus Zakai, the Al Yomus Chayav. The Torah says it's better he should die now before he's done anything, rather than die when he has done something, because then he'll be Chayav. So Rashi trying to tell us, how on earth can you kill this person? What has he done? He should be Chayav Misa. Even if we say that he was maybe due to get the stripes because he stole his father's money and so on. There's a lot to be discussed how he got the stripes. Of course he got the stripes. And what are you doing? Take him into Bezin and kill him with a very serious need. So Rashi says, you're not killing him for anything that he did. He didn't do anything, even approximate to anything, which could make him a Chayav Misa. He didn't even approximate to it. What are you doing? You're killing him because of what's going to be in the end. What's going to be in the end? What's going to be in the end? He's going to become a little, renegade, and he's going to be running around, and he'll be molesting the Briyas, he'll hold up people, on the way, and he'll take away their money, and so therefore, it's better that he should die while he's still Zakai. He's not completely Zakai, but he's pretty innocent, pretty clean, and he shouldn't die when he is already Chayav. So, the intelligent reader looks at that Rashi, and if you look up in the Mishnah, in the Masechta Sanhedrin, there's a whole parak called Ben Tzeirer Umeira in Masechta Sanhedrin. And you see it's written more or less that in the Mishnah. Rashi is more or less quoting one of the Mishnahs over there in Sanhedrin. But that's in effect what the Mishnah says, that the Ben Tzeirer Umeira is Ne'arag Al Shem Seifer. He's not killed for what he's doing now. He's killed for what he did later on. And it also says he shouldn't be killed when he's already Chayav, when he's already badly guilty. And then the Mishnah over there says the most amazing thing. It says, Ki Misas Rashoim, the death of the evil, really evil people, is Hanoah Lehem v'Hanoah Lehem. It's a benefit and a pleasure for them, and a pleasure for the whole world. And then the Mishnah tends to get from that momentum, it goes on to say all sorts of things which these things happen to Rishoim, then it's either good for them but not for the whole world, or it's not good for them and therefore it's good for the whole world. All those series of different things about showing and tzaddikim in the Mishnah, in the Seitzei Sanhedrin. However, the Mishnah says that if a Rasha, like the Ben Seir Rosh calls him a Rasha, if he dies, and it's Hanoah Eloi, V'Hanoah Eloi, it's a benefit and a pleasure for him and for the whole world. So that's what Rashi hints at. Rashi says that this is what we put him to death. Yeah, that is due to the fact that that's for him, his benefit. This is for him good. Yamus Zakai V'al Yamus Hayah. So in other words, we're doing him a tremendous service, as it were, by taking away his life to stay. Because it's just going to get so bad later that he'll be Hayah. So I mean, that's not so easy to understand. Why would we kill somebody when he's not high of anything yet? I mean, maybe he won't be like that. I mean, how do we know? We're so sure. But just because he's doing it now, who says that's what he's going to continue to do? Maybe all of a sudden he'll do it, sure. Maybe, particularly as Bechir. Maybe he'll just all of a sudden change. And he'll, as they say in Yiddish, he'll chop himself. What's happening? And also, what does it mean that it's better that he should die Zakai and not die Chayot? I mean, immediately he gets put to death by the Beis Din. Let's say that he did become Chayot later on, and he gets put to death by the Beis Din. Then the Gemara says, in quite a few places, that immediately you get put to death by the Beis Din, then you have a kapara. No matter what you had, you're then clean. You go into the Beis Din Shumayla, clean. You've been atoned for by the fact that you had this passing away in the hands of the Beis Din. So I mean, what is it by saying that Yomus Zachar, Yomus Chayim? I mean, whenever he passes away, I'll be Beis Din. Yeah, then he'll anyway be Zakai. So I mean, what is Rashi earning by saying it's better that he die now rather than die later on? If he died later on, I'll be Beis Din. Then anyway he'll be Zakai. We have to say that maybe Rashi means it because he'll be molested, and he'll be a Jesse James when it comes to do it. And we don't know what's going to happen to him. Is maybe he might just meet up with a Misha Mashuna, an unusual thing, be killed by other Lishkim and other renegades and who knows what. And then he would pass away Chayot. It's a little difficult to say that's what Rashi means. Maybe we could suggest Azamin Sotzah. So it comes along the Maral Miprag, and he wants to suggest a very fascinating idea, and he wants to say that in the same series of Mishnayos, in that same parak, where we talk about the Ben Seir Rosh, we also learn the din that if you're being pursued by somebody and it's clear that he wants to kill you, or he's coming at you in order to kill you, then you're allowed to get up and kill him. You're allowed to get up and kill him, and that's called a rodef. Somebody who's chasing after you. How do you call it? Somebody who's chasing after you. I can't think of the word. Pursuing you, very nice. Somebody pursuing you with the intention of killing you, then you are allowed to kill him before you can do anything to kill him, and you're not guilty for anything, because it was clear that he wanted to kill you. So the Maral Miprag says that maybe what you see is that this Ben Seir Rosh is going to turn into a raider. He's going to chase after people in order to kill them. And if you chase after somebody and you didn't actually do what you wanted to do, then when you get the other guy kills you, then Ke'ilu, since he killed you, and it wasn't the Beis Din that killed you, then it's as if you had a form of a guilty death. You didn't carry out what you wanted to, and you didn't get killed by the Beis Din. Or your victim, he was the one who killed you. or rather the chaser after the pursuer's victim was the one who killed him. So then the pursuer, he was like a guilty person. He was chasing after him, and he didn't get caught by the bears. In a far, he would be like a person dying guilty. So the Maral probably wants to suggest that maybe that's the ending of a Ben Seder or Mela, that he will later become a chaser after people. He'll list him, and somebody will kill him, and then he'll be, as it were, a chayav. He didn't have all the normal, in inverted commas, catch of being taken by the Bezdin and put to death. Because then he would have been also zaka. Or at least upon he would have been zakai al yidei, to be suspended. And here, in this case, he wants to suggest that maybe. So not everybody's completely pleased with that teretz, because this may be questioned. That we could suggest that maybe the Rui death also has a certain kapara, since the Torah says that can be done to him, etc., etc. But at least it's a possibility, and it bears out the general thought that we said that maybe what Rashi means is that Al Yamus Chayav means that he should die in a way that it wouldn't be a normal sort of a death. But Eimach Harami is a normal death, according to the Bezdin, then Eimach he would still be in the form of innocent, like in a way, he would be cleaned, cleansed off the point, he would still be that. Anyway, comes along certain people and they say that there's another problem here, that as we pointed out, the skila is the worst of all the punishments. And if he were to be a listim and he were to kill somebody for their money, then he would only be chayav what's called sayab. He would be chayav misa by way of killing with a sword. Or it could be he might be chayav by strangling, what that's called chaynik. But the Gemara says clearly in Masechta, not very far from where it is, the Gemara says that they are, in inverted commas, easy death compared to skila. And so everybody asks the Shaila, all right, so this guy is being killed, Al Shem Sefer, what's going to happen to him? We don't know, but that's what Rashi says. We're going to kill him, what is eventually going to happen. He hasn't done anything yet, he's only going to be killed for what's eventually going to be. Why should he get the worst of all them? The worst of all them means, why should he get skila? Give him the easier. Poor guy finds he's getting killed because of what's going to be in the future. Hashem Sefer. So comes along to Rabbeinu Eliyahu Mizrahi, but he's one of the great early Meforshim on Rashi, and he says an interesting thing, but a lot of people deal with it slightly. And he says that maybe what we're worried about is that he will just forget everything once he gets older and he'll turn into a real Sefer Umeira, and he will kill somebody on Shabbos. So if you kill them on Shabbos, then he'll be chayav skila, because Shabbos, if you machal on Shabbos, then you chayav skila. If you kill somebody on Shabbos, or you loisiya, then you're chayav skila, because you've done a malacha on Shabbos. You've been machal on Shabbos, and the din of a machal on Shabbos is he gets skila. So therefore, the Rabbeinu says, we're worried that he's not only going to kill somebody, he's going to do it on Shabbos. So everybody said, well, that's a correct worry. יש לך איזה בעיה? לא. אז אני מבקש לקחת מהר משהו כזה. People say, wait a minute, the guy's got to do Davka Shabbos, and that's why the Torah says, well, that's why he's getting skilled. In the end, he's going to do terrible things, and he'll do them on Shabbos as well. So some people say, no, some others want to say that we're worried that he won't just kill one person, he'll kill, what? He's going to be a listim. A listim is a renegade. These guys are very, how do you call it, hot on the draw, what's the expression, very itchy fingered when it comes to that. So he might kill off a lot of people. So therefore, some people want to suggest that when you do Vedas, which there's a certain few in the Torah, but you add them together, you do more than just one, that maybe it could be that you get an even heavier penalty than what the one time would imply. So therefore they want to say, maybe we're worried that he's going to become a renegade. A renegade is a person who might bring about the death of numerous people, and therefore he might get an even worse punishment than what he would get just for killing. And that maybe explains the din of Skila. However, many of the, so the Maharal in Prague, he goes with his line, and he says that because we're worried he's going to turn into a rodef, then the person who kills a rodef, a pursuer, can kill him anyway. He can kill him with any ways possible to prevent him from killing him. So therefore he can throw stones at him until he kills him. In other words, he wants to connect it all with the union of the rodef, the pursuer, and therefore that's why the Torah calls it skila, etc. etc. That is the shitta of the Maharal Mikra. So it comes along so anyway, the plot gets thicker. Why is he so faced with this terrible visa? Bear in mind, it's all Al Shem Sefer. It's all what we're looking into the future. What he's going to be. And that Gufa is a benefit for him. That's what Rashi says. As he stated in the Mishnah, Hanoah Eloi v'Hanoah Li'olah. Well, from that would appear, ultimately speaking, our main concern, as far as Rashi is concerned, is really him. We're anxious to put him in the best possible situation. So I know that he should pass away in the best way now, rather than that things should be much, much worse in the future. Even though we haven't actually seen that happen, and we don't know what's going to happen, we just have the right to assume what's going to happen. Comes on to Rebbeinu Mizrahi, and he asks a shayla which it's connected with Rosh Hashanah, actually, this question. And that is, on Rosh Hashanah, anybody know what Torah we read on Rosh Hashanah? On the first day? Huh? No, the second day. No, the first day. Sorry, the first day. We read the story that occurs with Hagar HaMitzrayit, that she gets driven out by Avram Basora, and she has a son with her, Ishmael. And she gets out in the desert, and they don't know what to drink, and she sees the child is about to die of thirst. And so what does she do? She prays, and eventually there was the Abel took Rahmanas on the child, and Ishmael, and there was a bare water, a well of water appeared miraculously, and she gave the child to drink. This is Ishmael, not it. Ishmael. So it's written that the Malach appeared to her, and he said, you should realize that the Abish is giving you a salvation, and the Abish is reckoned with the child, and he's taken Rahmanas on the child, Ba'asher Hu Sham, the way he is there. So Rashi said, what's that got to do? Ba'asher Hu Sham, what does that mean? So Rashi said that it means it's a spiritual thing. It means that we're looking at him the way he is now. We're not going to look at what he's going to do in the future. In the future, years to come, Yishmael was not a particularly pretty cookie, as you're all familiar, aren't you? And then later on it's brought down that when the Yidden were driven into Golas by Nebuchadnezzar, Melech Babel, Rachmanin and Klan, the Yidden were taken all the way across into Babel, in Golas, that they didn't have what to drink. And it's written that the Ishmaelim came out when the Yidden were in the way, and they said, oh yeah, you're thirsty, we'll give you the drink. And they gave him these big puffed up bags that had air inside them, compressed air. inside of it. So when you open, put it in your mouth, all the air blew into you, and that is very dangerous. A lot of the Yidden die. So it comes along the Malachi HaShodesh, the angels, and they said to the angel, wait a minute, what are you doing? You're going to save this child now in the desert. He's going to, in the future, his descendants are going to do this and this to the Yidden. I've written Rashi over there, you look at it. And that's one of the reasons why we read this on Rosh Hashanah, because we want to show that the Eivshter reckons. But I mean, so the Eivshter says, well, that's what's going to be in the future. That's going to happen in the future. But right now, he's okay. I only judge a person according to the way he is now. What's going to be with him in the future? Not my concern. I hear Pasher who Shalom means the way he is there right now. So everybody says that is the most unbelievable character of Rabbi Eliyahu Mizrahi. He comes on and says, how can Rashi say, Nerag al Shem Seifei? And so Mishnah, Rashi bring a Mishnah. So Mishnah is on it. Nerag al Shem Seifei. He's going to figure what's eventually going to happen with him. I'm foolish, the Abish himself said, no way, he doesn't do that. Pretty amazing character. So comes again, the Rabbeinu Eliyahu Mizrahi, and he answers the teretz. He says the difference is that over there, Yishmael was just a baby, just a small child. He hadn't really started doing anything. Didn't really know how it was going to be. So well, we don't really know how it's going to be, then we say we judge you the way that you are. Over here, the Ben Seder Omeir, he's already drunk Rugian, he's already Tramita Shel Basar, together with all these, push to Chevra, to do it. Remember, he's already indicated that this is his way, he's already started off. And therefore, we're allowed to assume that he's going to keep going there. So some people say, well, that's a very good teretz. But if we look in the parasha over there, just a little bit before, then we see that Ishmael was already going after Avodah Zarah, even though he wasn't all that old. And he was also fighting with Yitzchak as to who was going to have the Yerusha from Avraham Avinu, Bein Boilam Hazeh, Bein Boilam Haba, the ganze Arifis was printed taught in the Rashi Atzmai, in other places taught, in the Parsha, and in the Parsha Shleach Reim is there. Yishmael also wasn't a pain, he wasn't a nice little, innocent little boichko that he was just laying in the hands of his mother, and he hadn't done anything yet. Who said he hadn't done anything? I mean, it was pretty clear what was his way. The only mile about Ishmael is that he did tshuva, that at the end of his day, Rashi saw at the end. Rashi says, Malamed she'asa Ishmael teshuva. Oh, he did that right at the end. But what he managed to do in the middle, is another man. Oh, upon him. Some people say, that teretz, the Lord Prokach doesn't seem to hold out so well. Comes on to Maharal in Prague, and he wants to suggest that the difference is that over there, that was in Bezdin Shel Mail. That was the Eivshter. There was nobody around, there was no Bezdin, there was nothing. It was the Eivshter. He had to decide whether Yishmael was going to live or whether he was going to pass away from thirst. Here we're talking about the Bezdin. They've already brought the mother and father brought the boy into the Beis Din. This is a Beis Din Shel Mata. So says the Maharal in Prague, a Beis Din Shel Maila, the Eibishter, he looks at the way things are now. He doesn't look at what's going to be in the future. Because the Eibishter knows that maybe things might change. I'll be at that. I mean, the Eibishter knows everything. So he only judging anybody, he only judges him right the way he is now. About Beis Din Shel Mata, and here comes up a very interesting principle that a Beis Din Shel Mata, they got to watch And they got to see that the world be a proper place to live in. They got to make sure that things are kept right. And therefore, the Beis Din Shel Mata, they have the right to take action and put this guy to death because they are worried, and they, as far as they see, and the way indications are, he's going to go and be molested as a priest, and he's going to make a tremendous, how do you call it, turmoil in this world. And therefore, we have the right, as a Takonas Oilon, we have the right to see here that that doesn't happen. But that wanders, if you go with that teretz, I mean, that teretz is good, but it wanders a little bit from the main point in a way, because Rashi says that mutav sheyomus zakai v'lo yomus chayim. It's must be in Rashi that we're talking about the benefit of the guy himself, not about the benefit of the world. It must be in the Maral Miprag that it's more a tikkun on the part of the Beis Din, that they're going to watch and see that the world is, whether they have the right sometimes to take far-reaching steps to look after the balance and the good behavior in proper society. The Maral Miprag, but it doesn't quite sort of get in. Yeah, with the whole Indian, we seem to be, as far as Rashi is concerned, we seem to be concerned with the benefit of the person himself. Now the Indian is that what the Maral Miprag said, a certain Indian like that is brought down in the Ramban. The Ramban says a very fascinating thing. He says that this whole din, that we can put somebody to death, Al Shem Seitzei, because we can't deny that that is the truth. It's written in the Mishnah. So the Ramban said that's a big chiddush. It's not a normal thing in Torah at all. Ain't the Well, he says for that reason, he says that we're allowed to do it because the Beis Din is allowed to take action to see that certain things shouldn't be allowed to sort of get out of hand. And we have to frighten the public. That's what it says at the end. The Kol Yisrael, Yishmiyu v'yir'o, that this was a tikkun for the Klal Yisrael. That putting the Ben Seder Omer to death wasn't for him. It was for the Klal Yisrael. Well, so if he's there, it's a little bit not moving. Mutar, but the Mishnah said, Mutar sheyom musachar, al yom muschayim. Well, that's by the Ramban, not the Ikeh Shebadov. That's kilo also, a benefit for him, Aino Chanami. But the Nakuda Amiti says, and he said that's why there's certain halachas that we've seen in the parshas around here, which like that. He said, for example, the Eidim Zoimim, he got these guys that came in and they said Eidas, and then came another pair of Eidas, and they said, oh, you can't give Eidas, you were with us on the same day some other place. That's good. Yeah, so we believe these second Eidas, and we put the first guys to death. That doesn't make any sense. We said we should believe these more than what we do to death. That's what we call Eidim Seimim. And also the Ramban says that we do that for the sake of Tikkun Olam. The people should realize that you don't tell witness in Beis Din unless you know 1,000% what you're saying is true. It's all for the tikkun of the world. If he's it's another din. The whole Indian of the narrative, Al Shem Seitzei, is not a philosophical thing. It's not a conceptual matter. Why we kill somebody? Yeah, Al Shem Seitzei. Because if it is, it's a very difficult one. So the Ramban says no. The Ramban says a purely practical matter that sometimes the Beis Din is allowed to do certain things to make society keep good order, and for people to be aware of the fact that there can be very sharp action taken to prevent improper things, etc., etc. We're telling good what the Gemara tells in the same Masechta, a little bit further on. The Gemara tells that once in Eretz Yisrael, in the time of Rabbi Shimon Bar Shatak, what he's mentioned in the first period of it, he was the Rosh Sanhedrin. His family has brought down that there was a lot of witches down in a certain place in Eretz Yisrael. You know about witches that put down the Torah. That's forbidden to have a witch. That's to say women, that they did certain sorcerous actions and they carried out all sorts of inyanim. And the Torah is very, very against it. And she's also chayav misa, if she has 80 basra, So there was a whole big group of these women, I don't know how many of them, were hiding in some place, and they were doing sorcery, and they were getting tremendously involved in it. And they caused damage to hundreds of people, all sorts of miles was going on at that time in Earth Soil. So Shimon Bar Shatta took a few members of the Sanhedrin, and he went down to this place, and he just went around, gathered up all these witches, and he hung them up on trees. He put them there. And so it was, wait a minute, what is he doing? You've got to have Edom, you've got to have Asra, you've got to have a business or Shivim Be'echad, you have 71 Dayanim, to put somebody dead, you can't just what is that? So the Gemara says, forbidden for the Bezdin in certain generations. Where they see that something is likely to be very, very damaging to the whole Yiddishkeit and to the whole Jewish people, then they're allowed to take very severe action, al da'atom, according to their own opinion and the opinion of the Rosh Hashanah and the other members. That is Isaiah good. That would be what the Ramban would say. That's the makor for that approach. Is this din of the Ben Seir Omer that he's Azamin Din, that we don't kill him because of what he did, but what we want to have an effect on the whole Klal. But if he said, come to us, that there might be a difference between Rashi and the Ramban when they get to certain inyonim, practical inyonim and the whole halacha, it's not the place to go into all the dinim and all the halachas. I saw later in a famous sefer, the Faneach Rosa, when he was a Rishon, he was one of the Baalei HaTesis of the Tesis Shams. It's a group of Tesis that I mentioned, down on the side of the Gemara and Sector Kedushin and other places. He was a very early, he says that there's certain opinions put down in the Gemara that this whole Ben Seir Umayra is just so particular, there's so many thousands of details are necessary that it couldn't happen. It could never really happen that a Ben Seir Umayra would be able to be put to bed in Bezdin. So therefore he says, one of the Tanoim, one of the great Tanoim says, the Ben Seir Umayra Roi Hoya V'Roi Nivro. There was never any such thing. Why is it written in the Torah? Droish v'kabel schar, and put in pure that you should learn it, and the Eibishter will give you a reward for learning. I mean, Azay Zot, I state the Gemara according to that opinion. So the Faneach says, you know. So he said, what's it written in the Torah for? And he said what I told you. He said that Mamish that would add up very beautifully. The Rambam, he said it's written in the Torah to reveal to us that it is possible for the Bezdin to do things which are very unusual if it's necessary to be boiled with Kol Yisrael year over year over. If it's necessary to bring about a Zaman Sotak. As is up to Faneach, even though he avoids the whole thing, but then it's over. The question: why did he do that? Was that kind of more from our the Falcon itself, but it's not the place to get involved in the matter. So the union is that we see that there's one opinion that says this whole union of Ben Seir By the way, is that not right? Yeah?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So, on that basis, that some people say that the whole union really could never be. And there's a price in the Gemara with this time that says, and then Rabbi Yosi says, oh yes there was. And Rabbi Yosi says there was one Ben Seir in the whole history. And he said, I once sat on his cave. I sat on the grave of the only Ben Seir that there was in history. I say from Rabbi Yosi. And the whole question, why is it written that he sat on his cave? He said, I knew your shafti el kibbutz. You're not supposed to sit on somebody's personal path. Why did he? I knew your shafti el kibbutz. There's a whole big book in the Mephosheh Gemara about that particular union. Although once again, we can't go into all the different inyanim. Suffice it to say, so it comes along the Zohar Kodesh. It's written in the Zohar Kodesh in Pasha Bolot, not in where we are now. It's written that Moshe Rabbeinu came to write this parasha, the Eibishter to write this parasha, and Moshe Rabbeinu said, Eibishter, I'm terribly sorry, find somebody else. That's what Moshe Rabbeinu said. He said, I can't write this parasha. They stayed to him. So the Eibishter said to him, what a thought. He said, because Moshe Rabbeinu understood that this was like a remez to Yidden. It's like, who's the son of the Eibishter, the Yidden? Who could maybe be Chas v'Sholem, a Ben Seir or Meira occasionally, but he doesn't want all this business. There's Chas v'Sholem, Romu, Ba'avonim, and the Yankee said, who is? So Moshe Rabbeinu said, I'm sorry, I don't want to write it. So the Eibishter said, why? So he said to him, Abba, is there a father that can do this to his son? Actually bring him into the way. And put together the skilo. So Moshe Rabbeinu said, he's sorry, he can't do it. So there's a whole discussion goes on. And the Gemara said you could see why Moshe Rabbeinu wasn't so anxious to do it. Because the Gemara goes on to say that the father is the Eibishter, and the son is the Jewish people, and the mother is the shortest of the Jewish Neshomas L'mayla, before they come down into this world. And the father is the Eibishter, and all sorts of binyanim, and that the son can never get off the track. And the father says, okay, we're going to take him to bed and we're really going to let this happen and so on and so forth. And Moshe Rabbeinu, no, Eibishter. Then it's written that the Eibishter said to him, you know what the trouble is? He said, the whole trouble is, why is he a Seir or Meira? Because he's a Zolel B'Soveh, because he's a glutton and a bit of a drunkard, but that's like a time. That's not what it means. That's like a thing that brings him into being a bit so. So the Eibishter, so Moshe Rabbeinu says to the Eibishter, what should do? What is that? And so there's a whole big piece of the Zohar where the Eibishter says that it's not enough that the Yidden of being amongst the Goyim, they mix in with the Goyim, they copy the ways of the Goyim. He said, that's what it means, Zolel v'Soveh, you know, that you have to do things the way the Goyim do it. You have to dress the way the Goyim do it, you have to booze the way the Goyim booze, and you have to play cards, and you have to do guns, shpilachs. And nowadays it's eating from drugs. Doesn't this remind you of drugs? So we're worried he's not going to have the money. I said, isn't that a remedy? That's what happened. These guys, they don't have one, so they go around. They ask who knows where they get it, what happened. Where does it all come from? The Goyim. Unfortunately, the Yidden are very good at it if they mix in. Of a Rahman in Islam, that comes from the Goyim. Amamila is up to us in the Zohar that the Eibishter said the whole problem is that they become a Seir Omer because of Seir V'Soveh. They're dazzling and doing, and so the Zohar says that means doing all the things the way the Goyim do it. And saying that the Goy is right. I have to listen to the Goy, I have to do his way. So it's written when Moshe Rabbeinu heard that he dropped his hand. And Moshe Rabbeinu heard that, then he dropped his hands, and he said, oh yeah, kafal. He came, you have to write this pasha in there. You have to write this pasha in there to him. And so what does it mean that they stoned him? It's written that all the Goyim came in and they pulled off stones from Yerushalayim, from the Beis Hamikdash. Yeah, they threw the stones, but it didn't help them. And that would add up very nicely. There's one opinion that really the Beis Hamikdash, the Emes, wasn't destroyed. It really is still there. But it all like happened But the Goyim thought they were doing it, but they didn't. So then the question is, why don't we see it? Oh. So the Zohar says, because you got dust in your eye. Anyway, whatever. They stoned him, but they stoned in a way that they didn't help. They stoned, and that's what the first statement of our sages, that the Abishai gave out his anger on the stones, but not really on the Yidden. And remember, the answer is, the finality of it all is, of course, the Churban was there, but it was only in the form of stone. But the Yemsa Beis HaMikdash, the Yemsa Beis HaMikdash is still there. And then the Zohar Kodesh finishes off by saying, you haven't got anything better than the Yidden. That they're the most beautiful people, and they are the most wonderful thing that was ever created is the Yidden. What is that it's been saying? That there have been Seir Umeira, the Abishai, to convince Moshe Rabbeinu that he had right, they got nothing to do with it. And then the Zohar Kodesh is all the most wonderful people on the Yidden. So what do you want? Elamai, the answer is, the whole trouble is that everybody is too worried about the Goyim. And everybody's too busy giving all this unbelievable, COVID, herits to the Goyim. And trying to show, yes, we're all right to Goyim and everything's fine. And we can't do anything because of the Goyim. Etc., etc., etc. And the Rebbe says exactly the opposite. Pink fakir, b'chol ha'inyonim, b'chol ha'pratim, b'diuk hafuk. And the Rebbe says you haven't got anything better and shener than the Yidden. And they are the Eibishter's greatest force and the most unbelievable power. And the unbelievable power that you have, that you are a Yid. And that's what's written in the Zohar. Therefore, Melech HaMashiach says, don't worry about the Churban. Just emphasize that you are a Yid and announce to the world that you are a Yid and that you do things the way the Torah says. Then the whole Pasha, the Betzer Umeira, becomes a just to dash in order to get reward. It's not a reality. It's only a thing to challenge the Jewish mind that should go even deeper into understanding certain Inyanim and Torah, but not more. Father, you have to forgive me. I wanted to say a lot of other things, but I've got a taxi coming and he's going to be ringing in my office. If I don't get there sooner, he might bring him up to find me there and I'll be in trouble. He might go back. So, that's what it all boils down to is that we must not listen to the Goyim. We must not be worried about what they say, and we must not be worried about the Churban. The Churban only happened just to stone the Ben Seir Umeira a little bit, but it didn't help the Goyim, it didn't help anything. The Beis HaMikdash is still there. And all we've got to do is just take the dust out of everybody's eyes and we'll see it, that it's there and it's standing. And that's what the Abishai said, he hasn't got anything better than the Yidden. He told Moshe Rabbeinu to write that Pasha in the Torah. He doesn't have any better. And we in Tom Patmimim, we are the announcers and the flag bearers. Of those who say that the Abishai has only got the Yidden and he hasn't got anything better than them, and to take it to Miyad, Melech HaMashiach is going to say them. Now you don't see the Beis HaMikdash, there it is, right there. Good, okay guys. So it was very short, there were a lot of points that should have been made, but that's another time.